My name's Ivan Flores, and today I'm going to make a presentation on one of Sherman Alexi's short stories within Three Little Idiots, known as Do Not Go Gentle. The theme I chose for this short story is hope, and in my first slide, I chose a quote that says, "Mr. Grief was a billionaire. He could afford to check on our baby every 6 hours, but every 6 hours, my wife and I cussed him out and sent him running." The reason why I chose this quote for to represent hope is that the child's parents are facing something inevitable to some people in the world, which is death, and something such colossal or such strong, I guess, a strong chapter in someone's or ending in everybody's life. They still continue to fight and try to withstand the time that death comes to uh, kill their child. And on the right side, we have Krillin from Dragon Ball. And the reason I chose him to represent this image, this quote, is that in this universe, he isn't considered the most strongest person in the team. He's allied with gods or people with high caliber power, and then he is faced to fight against enemies who go beyond his reach of power. And normally, he's going against something that's and could inevitably kill him or even just kill all of his allies. But the reason why he keeps fighting and goes batting nail to continue in these fights and training, he's doing it to protect Earth, and he knows if he gives up and simply falls under the pressure of something so strong and enormous, then like the baby, Earth will die. And right here, my next PowerPoint slide, I have, but my wife and I loved our little baby X and took turns sitting beside his bed and singing to him. And then right here, so the reason why I chose this image, this quote for hope, is that the point that really popped out to me was just the short fragment. But my wife and I loved our little baby X. It's something. It could be immoral, maybe for some of the people, but the baby is theirs, but it's going to die inevitably. So essentially, I see it as something as a failed creature or just something that they shouldn't really care too much about. But the fact that they haven't given him a name yet, but they still love their little baby X, even though it's inevitable that he or she might die, and that kind of love just kind of established something of a strong or not even strong, just like a really established a family relationship. No matter even though it's like a short time. And on my far right, I have Rock Lee. So the reason why I chose this image for this is that Rock Lee was faced to fight and live in a world where everyone has powers and except himself. So his backstory isn't something. The reason why I chose this image, it's the amount of like effort and just patience that it takes to achieve both of their goals. For the wife and the husband, it takes a lot of love. It takes a lot of endurance to fall in love with something that they know might die the next few hours, the next few minutes. And with Rock Lee, he's worked diligently, has been really patient to even achieve some sort of level against the world he's been faced against. And yeah, and essentially those two aspects of them, like loving and just waiting to see something, or not even waiting to see, knowing that something would happen, something would be in the result. It's just a big like symbol of hope. In my next slide, I have I don't know why I can't explain it. I felt like a good woman and wanted to be a good mother, man. So I left the hospital and went out to shopping for baby's toys. And out of the three characters on the far right image, I chose Master Roshi to represent this. It's the old man sitting with his back turned. So in the quote, obviously, going back to how no matter they just gave birth to the child, but it's going to be dead in a matter of it can be a matter of minutes or hours. But the fact he has that gut feeling of becoming a great mother or a father, it kind of just it gives them hope to understand that just because something was told to someone doesn't mean they won't be a parent, doesn't mean they should stop being a good or even stop trying to be a good parent. And on the far right, on Master Roshi, he found Goku and eventually found Krillin, which are the only two characters. And Master Roshi is not anyway related to those two except just knowing just being the old man that saved them. And when he found them and took them into his class, he just he decided he isn't just a teacher to them. He's a dad, a grandfather, a person to look up to. And it takes more than just will to do this. It takes a lot of hope to become a good, not even just a parent, but just a good parent. Telling yourself that it's more than just a responsibility, it's something that you must love. In my next slide, I chose it was my wife who grabbed chocolate thunder and used it like a drumstick to pound her hand drum. She sang a brand new song that echoed up and down the hallways of Jillian's hospital. And on my far right, I showed Gon being able to use his ability and focusing onto the shovel. This is a kind of a new thing of hope that I've researched. So, in order to have hope, is to have control, to have control of your emotions, your physical, your physical body. So, the reason why I chose this quote is that it takes a lot of just like it takes a lot to control your emotions when seeing something so obscure like a giant dildo. Most people when they see someone picking that up, they just immediately think it's a sexual, uh, a sexual idea. But when she sees that, she controls those ideas and does not allow the pressure from society to trying to tell her that, oh, just a giant black dildo means yeah. But she sees that avoids that and sees that it's just something that could be used to bring some sort of hope, no matter how obscure it might be. And on the far right, Gon is using his Nen to control his Nen to focus on the shovel. And of course, going back on being able to be in control, it took a lot of his emotional and physical aspects to be, um, be evaluated and concentrated to where it's some sort of matter and focused into the shovel. Then my next slide is our baby boy was going to live a long and good life. And and then the reason why I chose this quote is that it takes a lot of a a a lot of assurance, a lot of will to even say that while we're being faced against a dying baby who's it could be gone in a matter of minutes, seconds, or even the next just couple of moments. And then on the far right we have Inosuke. You just yeah. And so the reason why these two connect is that so Inosuke uses a lot of he's faced against again against a lot of powerful enemies, and a lot of time it's something he couldn't interfere with his life and in the moment's matter. But he uses will. He tells himself that he is the strongest and he believes he's the strongest, and it takes essentially all of his attacks, all of his the way of living is based on will. And so with the quote, by simply stating our baby boy was going to live a long and good life, that is a lot of hope and a lot of will to be to stating that without any hesitation. Next slide, we wanted our babies to live and we were ready to try anything to help them live. So the reason I chose this to represent hope is that for me it's not very competitive, and in competitions it takes skill, it takes training to win, but also has to involve hope, knowing that you will win the battle and inevitably be all right. Um, on the far right we have Uvojin. The reason why I chose this image to represent this quote is because uh, he's very competitive. He from birth he's had to deal with a lot of a lot of losses and a lot of wins just to achieve the strength he is in. And so by connecting these two is that they're both trying to compete. They're both trying to hope that they win, but that same hope is something that's assured for themselves, that they know that they're gonna beat no matter what kind of obstacle they go against. Next up, I said to my wife later, I heard that the big old music from that 2000 Space Odyssey movie when I saw that Miracle Vibrator. And the reason why I chose this quote is that to be is that the sorry about that. So the reason why I chose this quote is that there's a lot of sorry, the way this quote represents hope is that it presents. So she oh my god, stop. So this quote represents hope is by showing how like not resourceful, but seeing thinking outside the box when she saw that, or when he hears that kind of noise and seeing that kind of image. Um, he was facing against something such very negative and something very dismal, and when he goes to the sex shop, it's kind of odd, but at the same time, it's something that he sees and somehow feels like a slight symbol that things might be okay. And on the right side, we have Soma Yukihira, which is he's a cook, and but a poor cook. So when he faces some challenges while cooking, he has no money and he doesn't have access to proper ingredients. So he looks what he has and then he tries to make the best out of it. But it's not something he plans; it's something he feels. So the way he needs to connect is that when they see something that they does it seem very obscure, something that doesn't make sense. Like for example, using rice to make meat or seeing a dildo for hope. It's something that they both share, which is to view things differently, no matter how obscure or how weird my thing is. And yeah. Next up, I have everything is stuffed to the brim with ideas and love and hope and magic and dreams. And on the far right, I have Sam from Cannon Busters. And the reason why I chose this quote to represent hope is that it takes a lot of just willpower alone just to see the hope, the good and love in all things, whether it be good or bad. And also in Sam, she's her character herself is very optimistic, enthusiastic. She sees rugged man and immediately just shoots him like her own friend. They both connect to they both connect to represent hope. Is that with the quote being said, facing against the probability the child dying, and with Sam seeing every individual she sees as someone who's potentially good or could possibly be a friend. It's just big indications that that hope is something that they live within their lives. Next, I have we wondered aloud that what we will tell our Abraham about the wondrous world when we was old enough to wonder about it. And then on the far right, we have Minato. He's transferring, the den demon into his son's soul, so that way he lives to continues to live his life, and but in that return, losing his. So the reason I chose this quote for hope is essentially, saying this, knowing what they're facing, is a big statement of how much hope and will they have to, or will they have that their child will be okay and survive a long happy life. Is really just a big symbol that they, or a big indication that they just amount of wishes and hoping they have in their child and their health. And then and the reason why I chose this image of Minato is that he was faced to either kill his child or face into he was faced with a lot of terrible decisions, but he chose the one where his child lives to tell another day, but the risk was that he wasn't there to protect them. So as you can see, he's putting all the odds against him and sacrificing himself to save his child. He's just putting not only his life but all the hope he has to make sure his child lives to see a happy life. Just how with the quote, hoping that they survive and continue to live. Lastly, is listening to their awfulness, I found the strength to stand and walk out of the stall. And the reason why I chose this quote is towards the end because it's something that takes a lot of heart, a lot of patience to face people who are talking negatively behind your back and hearing all those words firsthand. It's something, it takes a lot of restraint just to come out with a smile on your face and simply walk out. Um, in the far right, we have Naruto becoming Hokage, and the reason why I chose this image is that while growing up, he was the black sheep, the failure in his group, the child you least expect him to be successful in life. But now but in this image, you can see he's now become essentially the leader of a whole village, and the protector of all his friends and family. And the way that these two connect to become to represent hope is that it just takes to have hope that I think to have hope is to have be optimism, be positive and self esteem, and these two quotes just both just show how much strength it takes, how much hope they have that they will succeed, not succeed, but to continue in life through the obstacles and the negative things you may face.